Hey everybody, welcome back to Guns and Gadgets, your source for Second Amendment news. Some news has come down out of New York City last week. First, before we even get to what happened last week, you might recall the video I did when I was at SHOT Show on the 22nd of January, when the Supreme Court of the United States took up a writ of certiorari on a Gun Owners of America backed case regarding New York City's basic prohibition of travel with your firearm. You could have it in your home, you could maybe have it in your business. If you were a celebrity, you were given okay to do stuff. If you were a special politician or government agent, you could carry your firearm. But under basically no other conditions could an average person travel with their firearm in the city. It's totally unconstitutional for everybody. I mean, you are a law-abiding citizen. You own a gun. You should be able to travel with it with your permit. But that brings us to the case. The Supreme Court took it up, said this is a legitimate challenge, a concern. The GOA was basing their complaint based off of the Heller and McDonald case, where Heller and McDonald basically said you have to follow the Constitution, and I'm paraphrasing, and also said that it's not up to the balancing test that judges use in New York. So what has New York City done? The New York City Police Department has announced, and I'm going to read you right from one of the press releases, that gun owners in New York City will soon be able to legally transport their firearms to a second home, a business, or another place that gun possession is permitted as a result of a rules change that was announced. And that specifically addresses the situation that was happening in New York, where you were only allowed to transport your illegally owned firearm to a range or to a approved hunting exposition by NYPD. Like, they thought that they were the judge, jury, and the executioner. So the GOA fought the case all the way to the Supreme Court. The writ of certiorari was issued in January. The case is coming up soon. So NYPD said, you know what, we're going to change the rules to the way it should be, because we basically have been infringing on people's rights all along. And now that somebody had the balls to challenge us tyrants, we have to change it so that we know we're going to lose this case if we keep it the way it is. So we're going to change the case now before the court hears it, so that the court can say, okay, you changed it, maybe we won't take the case now. Because if they did keep it, New York kept their policies the way they were, and it went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court struck it down as unconstitutional, every single city, state, and town that had a similar type of restriction would be deemed illegal and unconstitutional, and that would strike down these type of tyrannical laws with one swipe of the pen, one stroke of the pen. Now, this change will go into effect 30 days after the public comment period, which starts this week. Today is Wednesday. It started this week. Now, this is expected to affect 16,000 law-abiding gun owners who are permitted inside the city limits of New York. Now, what will not change is the way that New York is requiring said firearms to be transported. You still have to have them unloaded. The ammunition has to be separate, like in a trailer coming behind your vehicle. And I'm just joking here, but that's how it is. It has to be separate, unloaded, away from the ammunition, so that you could never, if you need to protect yourself or somebody else in the blink of an eye, like crime happens, you could never protect yourself. I do want to read you a quote right from NYPD. And this comes from Police Commissioner James O'Neill, who said this. I guess he thinks this is something that makes sense. Quote, "This change applies only to legal gun owners who have already gone through the strenuous background verification process. The NYPD's focus will always be on criminals who wield illegal guns and those who would use guns to cause violence on our streets. Reasonably accommodating the interests of licensed gun owners in transporting their firearms to a legal shooting range or a second home strikes a responsible balance between individual interests and public safety. The problem, Commissioner, is that you're sworn to uphold and protect the Constitution of the United States, and you do not reasonably accommodate law-abiding citizens. You work for us. Well, I don't live in New York, but you work for law-abiding citizens. You don't reasonably accommodate us. We reasonably accommodate you with employment." I already mentioned the Gun Owners of America, but this has also been fought on different avenues by other agencies. The NRA-ILA has also been in on this, and they were on the version of the lawsuit by the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association. In fact, I'm going to read you a quote from the NRA regarding this whole scenario. It says, The city of New York clearly knows that its current restrictions on the carrying and transportation of lawfully owned firearms is unconstitutional and will fail under any standard of constitutional review, as the NRA has been saying for years. It continues saying, today it asked the U.S. Supreme Court to ignore the Constitution and allow the city to slow walk a narrow expansion of its current policy through a lengthy bureaucratic process, the result of which, even if adopted, would still unduly infringe upon the fundamental individual right to keep and bear arms under the Second Amendment. Now, you might recall the case called Caetano versus Massachusetts, in which Massachusetts would not let people carry tasers and stun guns, and the U.S. Supreme Court took that up, struck it down, saying the Second Amendment extends to them. Well, even after that was struck down here in Mass, and everybody in the country knew that Second Amendment protections extended to tasers and stun guns, New York kept their ban in place. It's documented that New York thinks they're better than everybody, they know everything, they know more than everybody, and they've lost on numerous levels, and they're going to lose this one too if it gets picked up by the Supreme Court. Now that they've changed, there is a possibility the Supreme Court might not take this case up, but we'll see. Fingers crossed. Hopefully the tyrants get shown the way. Please pass this along. This is big information. You got states who know, in cities here, who know they've done something wrong. They know that they have violated the Constitution, and they don't care about your rights. They're just going to do it until somebody challenges them. And when the case goes to someone who could actually put the smackdown on their candy ass, then they're like, oh, we're sorry, mommy and daddy. We'll do it right now. And that's happening all across the country right now. So please pass this along. Leave comments below. I'd love to hear your concerns, your questions, or your thoughts on this process. What do you think is going to happen from here? The new court, the Supreme Court, I don't know. It's not really, even though it's supposed to be more conservative, it's not. And we have justices who are basically doing everything they can to keep a Second Amendment case from coming up. We'll see what the future holds, but it's coming soon to a theater near you. Until we see each other again, this is Jared from Guns and Gadgets. Thank you for your time. Until we see each other again, be safe, stay vigilant, carry a weapon. I love you all more than you know. Without you, I'm not doing this. So thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Take care.